I have to find it again. So I thought, you know what? You guys can go through this with me for once. You guys can see just how far we've actually gotten. All right, here we go. Gotta find the. Oh wait, I can't get to it from here. I think. Hold on. I don't think I can get to it from here. I know I can't because we've watched too many videos now. I have to go this way. There. I'm gonna get carpal tunnel. It's okay. Any minute now. Almost. We made it. We made it down to video 321. What? That's crazy. Isn't that crazy? So, we are like 45 minutes into this video, which is 2 hours long. And then we have another 2-hour video next. We're going to be playing it at 1.25 speed, but we will not get through him today. Nope. And I can't just play until he's done. I gotta go to work. So, tomorrow we get through this video, and then Marsha is on, so this is definitely a new witness right here. I don't know who she is. I'm racking my brain. What the heck? Doesn't matter. He's defense. All right. Now. Perfect. Practically.
As you seated today as an expert in this case, sir, are you aware of the testimony of Dennis Fong and Andrea Mazzola and Mr. Yamauchi of the LAPD laboratory?
Not specifically, no.
Did you ever review any of the manuals of the Los Angeles Police Department Scientific Investigation Division prior to your testifying today?
No, I didn't.
Were you aware that the Los Angeles Police Department has no protocol or manual in use for the collection and preservation of biological evidence?
Sustained.
Now, I believe you said a moment ago, Dr. Weir, that you have sort of chosen to ignore the...
Yesterday's stream changed my life. It was life-changing. I don't know if you remember. I sure do. While I was driving my daughter to work yesterday during this stream, I was listening on my phone. And Dearden, somebody, I don't remember who, said that Furman's questions in the grand jury room were so casual, laid back, that he was even eating a submarine sandwich while he was going through the questions with the prosecution. And then I don't know if you remember, this is a sidetrack. I don't know if you remember yesterday, but Dearden said all the air conditioning or heating, I can't remember which one it was broke in the building for all the rooms, except for room 13 or whatever, which is the grand jury room. They used that room that day for to question him about his testimony because the heating or air conditioning was broke, so all the other rooms were uncomfortable. They were too hot or too cold, one of the two. So the defense team made it sound like so far that this was some huge deal and this never happens. They took him to the grand jury room. No, it was just the air conditioning was broke. So he's eating a submarine sandwich Well, he's being questioned, all right? I love subs. So yesterday, while I was on the way to work, my job, I saw a sub shop to the right. And I remember the OJ stream, and I'm like, oh, I love subs. Well, right beside that sub shop was a Korean fried chicken shop. I have never had Korean fried chicken before. So I thought, oh, well, that looks interesting. I do love me some chicken. I do. So I text my daughter. I'm like, hey, when I pick you up from work, you want to go to this Korean fried chicken place? I thought, it's fine. If I don't like it, there's a sub shop right beside. I'll just get a sub. So we went there after work. It was freaking delicious. It made my knees weak. It was delicious fried chicken. I don't even know how else to say it. But while I was in there, the other patrons were eating their fried chicken with chopsticks. Like they were holding it with like one finger, and then they were skillfully using their chopsticks. They were chicken legs, by the way. Just chicken legs. They were using their chopsticks to break off the chicken legs. So I thought, bet if they can do it, I can do it. So I started eating, just think of eating a Kentucky Fried Chicken drumstick with chopsticks. And that's what I did for the first one. But it was so good that for the second one, I was like, no, I can't anymore. This is delicious. Oh, man. Look around your town and see if there is a Korean fried chicken place in your town. And go and try that today. It will change your life. Life-changing. Seriously. This affected me more than my divorce.
The impact that the probability of laboratory error would have on calculations in this case. Is that a fair statement? Well, have you taken into consideration in your own calculations the probability of laboratory error?
I could not, and I should not.
Dr. Williams,
Hi, Terry.
that variance is known as laboratory error. Would you agree that that would certainly be relevant to your calculations?
It is not relevant to my calculations.
And it's not relevant to your calculations even if you could quantify that variable? Is that your opinion, sir?
You are asking me to quantify something I don't think exists. So I reject the notion.
Oh, no. I turned the wrong volume
Reject the
off.
notion that it should be incorporated.
Well, so I believe you said that there are portions of this report by the National Research Council that you agree with and other portions that you disagree with. Is that correct?
Sustained.
0 days. 0 days.
Do you agree with the following statement, Dr. Weir?
Sustained.
One moment.
Maybe it's better when the court's quiet, because this guy's a jerk. There was the chicken. The chicken was so good. You don't even understand. It should be better now. It's better now, right? Oh, no. Oh,
Dr. Weir, in your
no.
report, which you filed with this court, did you not make the following statement? And I quote, coincidental identity and laboratory error are different phenomena, so the two cannot and should not be combined in a single estimate. Did you make that statement?
I quoted that statement.
Excuse me?
I quoted that statement.
And in fact, you endorsed that statement. Is that correct, sir?
I do.
And you are aware when you endorsed that statement that that was a statement that you were lifting right out of the National Research Council's report, DNA Technology and Forensic Science. Isn't that correct, sir?
That's correct.
And, sir, in that very same statement, or that very same thought, Doesn't the report state the following?
What page? Is this the same paragraph?
It's the
context?
same paragraph.
Proceed. What page, Counsel?
Page 88.
Certainly. What paragraph, Counsel?
It's the first paragraph in the chapter called Laboratory Error Rates.
Thank you.
If you want to take, do you have a copy of the report with you, sir?
Yeah, I do.
Want to look on with me so to make sure I'm quoting it accurately, sir?
Not especially.
Okay.
Still have the same objection,
All right, full rule.
Reading from the middle of page 88. Quote, I'm sorry.
Did anybody ever look up
One moment, Your Honor.
why the prosecution didn't appeal? Yeah, Josh, and I deserve it. I deserve worse than that. I deserve worse than a text message.
Your Honor, just so the jury can read along, I'm asking to put the quote, which I'm about to read from that paragraph, up on the board. Thank you.
I wonder if we picked a date 2 years from now, we could all save up money to meet somewhere. That's dangerous. I'm in.
Proceed.
You ready?
It would be Austin, Texas. That's where we would meet, Austin, Texas. Come on, annoying little man, let's go. Now you're annoying me by being quiet. He wants to put a paragraph up on the Elmo, and he's taking all this time. Austin. I know Judge Fleischer's in Houston. We can detour. We can go there. If it's only like 3 hours away, that's easy peasy.
All right, Dr. Weir, do you agree with the following quote from the NRC report? Quote, interpretation of DNA typing results depends not only on population genetics, but also on laboratory error. Two samples might show the same DNA pattern for two reasons. Two persons have the same genotype at the loci studied, or the laboratory has made an error in sample handling, procedure, or interpretation. Coincidental identity and laboratory error are different phenomena, so the two cannot and should not be combined in a single estimate. However, both should be considered. Do you agree with that paragraph, sir?
I agree, regardless of the fact that it's quoted there. I have those thoughts entirely, on my own volition.
I'm sorry, you what?
I have reached that same conclusion myself.
Well, by the way, in your report, you include a portion of that paragraph, do you not? On page 3 of your report?
Yes, I specifically include the last sentence.
Well, you specifically excluded the last sentence, didn't you, sir? The last sentence of this paragraph is,
Excuse me.
however,
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. There's a rule here. Only one person gets to talk. Both of you are violating it. Dr. Weir, let him finish answering the question. Let him finish the answer. Proceed. Thank you.
In fact, the last sentence of that paragraph, Dr. Weir, is, however, both, referring to laboratory error rate and those population frequencies that you've given this jury, should be considered. Isn't that correct? Isn't that what the sentence says?
The sentence states that correctly, and of course that's way beyond anything I'm empowered to do. I'm an expert in the interpretation of coincidental frequencies. I'm not an expert. I have no knowledge. I should not venture into talking about errors.
Sir, and that last sentence, saying that both should be considered, was omitted from your report. Is that right?
It's omitted from my report because I must omit it. I must omit that consideration in what I do. I am not allowed to say anything about what the laboratory does, I'd be way out of bounds. I can only address the science of statistics and population genetics, calculating these profile frequencies. To do anything else, I would be way out of line.
Dr. Ware, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Especially for a technology with high discriminatory power, such as DNA typing, laboratory error rates.
Sustained.
I'm asking if he agrees with the statement. I'm not.
You need to give us a source for starters. There's a foundational objection. I take that in.
All right. Dr. Weir, you said you have a copy of the NRC report with you.
I do.
Would you please take it out and look at the top of page 89 and read that first paragraph to yourself?
The first paragraph of the page.
On 89.
I've read it.
Do you agree with what's stated in that paragraph?
This paragraph is referring to something that is beyond my testimony.
I understand, sir. I asked as an expert in the field of statistics. Do you agree with the statement in that paragraph? Without actually saying at this point what it is, do you agree with it?
Well, the statement has nothing to do with statistics, and it's not anything that I've even considered, so I'm not sure. I can read bits and pieces from this document and agree with some and not others.
I'm asking you if you agree with that paragraph, sir.
Sustained.
Sir, did you testify under oath in the case of State of Florida versus James Chesson on May 20th, 1995, in a deposition in Raleigh, North Carolina?
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And in that deposition, sir, when you were asked whether you agreed or disagreed with that paragraph, as an expert, I'm not stating what the contents are.
Overruled.
When you were asked whether you agreed or disagreed with the first paragraph on the top of page 89, didn't you state under oath that you agreed with it?
I have no recollection. I talked to the counsel for about 8 hours that day. I just don't remember.
May I approach the witness to show him something?
Yes, you may.
Could I say please, Your Honor?
Yes, do you have a copy for counsel?
I think I have a second. Let me just see. I think I might actually.
Can we approach that, Your Honor?
Nope.
Looking, if I may just ask one other question of the witness. One second.
Do you have an objection to this portion?
All right, the request was to ask him to read it to see if it refreshes his recollection at that point.
Very
That's
well.
all. That's all that's before the court at this point. And what page is that, counsel?
I'm asking him to read beginning on page 152 of the deposition through the top of page 153.
Doctor, if you just read that to yourself and see if that refreshes your recollection.
This is your examination review. So that's a good question. Sure.
Yes, this refreshes my memory.
Okay.
Again, objection as to relevance, Your Honor.
Well, we'll
Now, sir, referring to that entire paragraph at the top of page 89,
Do they have a big bank you're going to rob?
and by the way, is the I'm s-
Hearsay is question and answer.
Is there a
Sir.
question?
on this previous occasion,
Oh, God, I wish I worked for the front desk.
under oath in that deposition,
I'm so mad.
didn't you state that you agreed with that top paragraph on page 89?
I said that, yes.
Okay. May I put the paragraph up, please? Thank you.
Proceed.
Did you secretly record you sweet-talking someone? Asking for a friend?
All right. Dr. Weir, this is a paragraph from page 89 of the NRC report. I'm asking you now whether you agree or disagree with the following. Quote, especially for a technology with high discriminatory power, such as DNA typing, laboratory error rates must be continually estimated in blind proficiency testing and must be disclosed to juries. For example, suppose the chance of a match due to two persons having the same pattern were 1 in 1 million, but the laboratory had made one error in 500 tests. The jury should be told both results. Both facts are relevant to a jury's determination. You agree with that statement, sir?
I agree with the second half of it, not the first half.
Well, when you testified, a moment. When you testified on May 20th, just a little more than a month ago, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and you were asked about that paragraph, when you said, yes, I agree, you never said only with the second half of the paragraph, did you?
What I said, if you read there, I said, yes, I agree, and then I went on to qualify what I meant by combining error rates. So in the context of that conversation, it was clear to me at that time, counsel was asking about combining error rates and coincidental identity rates. He had me agree with that paragraph, and then, as you see, I very immediately came back and quoted this previous sentence, they should not be combined. So that's the sense. I don't see any inconsistency.
Sure. What you come back and you say is that coincidental identity and laboratory error are different phenomena, so the two cannot and should not be combined in a single estimate. Isn't that correct?
That's true, yes.
But there's nothing in your answer on May 20th under oath where you call into question your agreement with the first half of this paragraph, where it talks about how estimates on blind proficiency testing must be disclosed to juries. There's nothing in there about that, is there, sir?
Your Honor, I have an objection under 356 as well, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Approach the bench, please.
Nope. Objection sustained.
On May 20th, 1995, when you asked this question, did you give this answer?
I'm sorry, Your Honor,
Sustained. As a matter of courtesy, counsel, you have to give a copy to opposing counsel if you're going to do this.
Page 152.
Proceed.
Dr. Weir, when you testified under oath at that deposition on May 20th, 1995, were you asked the following questions and did you give the following answer? Question, with the questionnaire quoting from the NRC report. Quote,
Sustain.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question. You don't get to editorialize on it. Just state what was asked and answered.
well, just that, Your Honor, the question just begins with a quotation mark. Okay.
Proceed.
Will you ask the following question and give the following answer? Question, quote, before the method can be accepted as valid for forensic use, it must be rigorously, oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was on the wrong page.
What page, counsel?
Page 152 to 153,
What line?
beginning line 18.
Mr. Clark?
That's what he has before. I was just reading from the wrong one this one time.
I'm sorry, to where?
To line 13 on page 153. Unless you'd like me to stop reading at line 6. It's up to you, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark, it's your preference. I will stop reading at line 6, or I can continue reading to line 13. Which do you prefer?
I think the initial pages and line number is fine, thank you.
Line 6?
No.
Line 13?
Yes.
Okay. Will you ask the following questions, and did you give the following answers? Question, quote, especially for technology with high discriminatory power, such as DNA typing, laboratory error rates must be continually estimated in blind proficiency testing and must be disclosed to juries. For example, suppose the chance of a match due to two persons having the same pattern were 1 in 1 million, but the laboratory had made one error in 500 tests. The jury should be told both results. Both results are relevant to a jury's determination, unquote. Answer. Yes, I agree. I've already stated that. I think it's a little misleading for you not to read the next sentence, and that is, quote, coincidental identity and laboratory error are different phenomena, so the two cannot and should not be combined in a single estimate. Question. So you'd say then that laboratory error rates are crucial to evaluating DNA evidence? Answer. No, they're talking about the rates of errors in proficiency tests. As I said, those are relevant, but I reject the notion of error rates in casework. I don't think that those are relevant, applicable to each case. Will you ask those questions, and did you give those answers under oath on May 20th of 1995?
Yes, I think that was a good answer on my part, yes.
I'm sure. To your knowledge, Dr. Weir, have any of the witnesses in this case presented that error rate, which you believe is a good thing to do, as expressed in this quotation?
Objection misstates the evidence.
Oral.
That question does not reflect what you just read out. The error, the rates refer to the frequency with which mistakes are made on proficiency tests. I reject the notion of an error rate applicable to casework.
Sir, do you agree with the portion of the paragraph that says that laboratory error rates must be continually estimated in blind proficiency testing and must be disclosed to juries?
Ask and answer.
Oral.
I disagree.
You now disagree with that
I
statement?
disagree now and then. I have always disagreed with that statement.
Okay, I just found out September is when we get the Furman tapes. I'm going to allow the Furman tapes to be played on this stream. However,
Sir,
not raw.
do you agree that...
We are not going to watch the Furman tapes happen. I'm going to record that part and mute everything I find offensive. I mean, we're not even going to be able to say nan because that starts with an N. I'm going to make it clean. I'm going to make the Furman tapes clean, and you're just going to have to use your imagination. I might have like, I might put like a stop sign. What's the word? Image. Every part that I bleep out, so that we are all fully 100% clear. That is not okay, ever. Even playing old stuff, not okay. Nope. So that's September. We're on June 26th. So we have a bit to go until we get there, but I don't know why I went on this side rant today. There was no reason for it. Let's go back to this annoying guy.
That proficiency tests must be truly representative of casework.
The objection beyond the scope.
Sustained.
Dr. Weir, do you believe that the results of blind proficiency tests that a laboratory undergoes should be presented to juries?
Objection, same objection.
Sustained.
In 1993, Dr. Weir, you wrote an article entitled Population Genetics and the Forensic DNA Debate, did you not?
Refresh me the journal citation, please.
The Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, 1993. Did you?
It was 1992.
I'm sorry, published in 1993, however.
It was published in 1992.
Published in 1992. And in that article, you discuss the issue of laboratory error rates, do you not?
Not really. That was a review paper, and I reviewed a great many things which a lot of people had been saying. At that point, a lawyer by the name of Richard Lempert had discussed error rates and given a formula which, if you knew what the chance of making an error was on a continuing basis, you would combine. I didn't agree with his formula and gave the correct formula in the context of reviewing his work. I reject the foundation, however, of doing that thing.
Sir, didn't you say on Friday, in that article you said that Professor Lempert or Dr. Lempert provided an equation and you rejected that equation and gave the correct equation?
Or will.
I corrected his equation, yes.
Could you please show me Dr. Lempert's equation in this article, and I'd ask to be marked for identification. I think it's 1207.
1207. Let me see counsel with the sidebar without the court reporter, please. All right, we have all the jurors present. Mr. Neufeld.
Thank you. I believe you said a moment ago, Dr. Weir, that in that 1992 article, one of the people you reviewed in there was Dr. Richard Lempert and his approach or formula to giving weight to error rates, and that you disagree with that. Is that correct?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I wrote that 3 years ago, and at the time, I think I disagreed with his formula. At that time, I was writing a review. It was not a matter of much concern in the community. I think Dr. Lempert may have been the first to even raise the issue. Since that time, I've thought a great deal more about the issue. so that if I was writing that now, I wouldn't have even given him the credence I did.
I see. Do you recall on Friday, during the cross-examination, Dr. Ware, being asked these questions and giving these answers, referring to page 109 of the transcript? Question, by me on cross-examination. Question. And Professor Richard Lampert was on that committee as well, is that correct?
I gotta
Answer,
go.
yes.
I'll be
I know
back.
Dr.
I gotta
Lampert
go.
quite well. Question. And he's an expert in the field of statistical inferences and evidence, is he not? Answer. Yes, he and I share a common belief in the correct way to interpret this data. Will you ask those questions and did you give those answers to this jury just this last Friday?
Oh, that's certainly, but that was not talking about error rates. We share the common belief in the likelihood ratio approach.
Sir, in your statement, you made no distinction between how one presents this data in terms of error rates and how one presents this data in terms of frequency estimates. Isn't that correct?
I've been extreme.
Well, it's argumentative. Rephrase the question.
In arriving at your own opinion, sir, on the role of error rates, did you take into consideration the published writing of Dr. Hageman?
I don't think I know what paper you'd be referring to, so the answer is no.
Sir, in your own article in 1992, here it is, which is, I believe, 1206, 1207,
Stop.
authored by you, do not you refer to an equation on handling error rates in a paper written by Dr. Paul Hageman? I'll show you your paper.
What I said was, as Hageman explains, this ratio can be diminished if the typing laboratory may have falsely declared a match. Nothing else that follows refers to Dr. Hageman's work.
Sir, you mentioned Dr. Hageman by name in your own article, do you not?
3 years ago, I cited his paper, certainly. I don't recall, at this point, I don't even recollect reading the paper.
And sir, in Dr. Hageman's paper that you're referring to, he provides an equation on this very issue, does he not?
He may, I have no idea.
So, at least now that you've looked at your own article that you wrote on this subject in December of 1992, does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not you have read a paper by Dr. Paul Hageman on the issue of the role in assessing DNA evidence in terms of error rates?
Objection beyond scope.
Overruled.
Obviously, I read the paper. At this point, I don't know what it said.
And have you read any of the published work of Dr. Richard Lampert
Objection
on the same subject?
Overruled. Overruled.
Well, I'm not sure. I think I refer to a paper of Lempert's there.
And is that the only paper that you've read of Dr. Lempert's?
On error rates, I think so.
And have you read any of the work that Dr. Lawrence Mueller has written, which refers or describes the error rate issue?
Objection to facts matter evidence.
Overruled.
I don't think so. I've read one of Dr. Mueller's papers. I don't recall error rates being in there.
But you said you've only read one of his papers?
I think he only has one peer-reviewed paper in this field.
And have you read the publications of Dr. J. Kohler on the issue of error rates in DNA profiling?
Probably. Dr. Kohler and I were at the same conference a couple of years ago, and I read the proceedings, so I probably did.
And have you read, by the way, do you know who Dr. Richard Lewontin is?
Yes.
And is Dr. Richard Lewontin a extremely highly regarded population geneticist at Harvard University?
Yes, certainly.
And do you know who Dr. Daniel Hartle is?
Yes,
And is he another very highly regarded population geneticist at Harvard University?
certainly is.
And have you read their papers where they describe the phenomena of error rates and its role that it should be played in assessing DNA evidence?
I don't think so. I think I've read everything they've written in this field. I don't recall what they say about error rates. And I would point out to you in this and the other contexts in science, it doesn't matter who says it, it matters what is said. So whether or not they said anything in itself wouldn't give it a special credence.
Okay, so in other words, the fact that there may be a half a dozen articles addressing this very issue which may disagree with your position is not as important as the reasons put forward for their position. Is that correct?
Objection to some facts not evidence calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
There's several parts to that question. The scientific literature and the feeling of the forensic community does not subscribe to error rates. I know that on the basis of conversations with senior forensic scientists. In the more general setting, if something is said by a scientist, that doesn't make it true. We need to see all the context, all the arguments, get the facts marshaled. I think I've lost the question. I think the answer was yes, though.
Dr. Weir, you just said a moment ago that some of your opinions are from conversations you've had with people who are participants in the forensic science community. Is that correct?
Yes, some of them are. But we talk about these things and formulating our ideas. We don't work in a vacuum.
Didn't you say at the very beginning of your testimony, Dr. Weir, that one doesn't rely, say, on what's said in cocktail conversations or other kinds of conversations, but in science, one relies on what's actually published as opposed to mere conversations? Didn't you make a statement like that early on in your testimony?
Yes, I said that, and that's when the definitive words are said and evaluated. In the course of writing papers, I talk to other people.
Well, Dr. Weir, in contrast to these different authors who I just asked you about with regard to their publications, what, if anything, have you personally published on the issue of error rates?
I haven't published anything.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Weir, getting back to the calculations of frequencies and mixtures, I believe on Friday you admitted to this jury that you had made an error, which you repeated in your frequency estimates for various stains on the Bronco console and for a stain on the glove. Is that correct?
Well, it was worse than I realized. It was both better and worse. I made the same error in every mixed stain involving DQ alpha alleles 1.3 and 4. I know how to do that. I had laid out, which is the annoying thing, I had laid out the correct method in my report. I should have applied the same method to all such stains. I did apply the same method to all the stains, unfortunately, for me. My program had a mistake, so I was consistent, but consistently wrong, and I've now corrected that.
Well, Dr. Weir, in your report, do you have your report in front of you, sir?
Yes, sir.
In your original report, Dr. Weir, in your original report,
Yes.
where you simply list the different pairs of genotypes that could give rise to the 1.1, 1.3, and 4 alleles for some items of evidence where there are mixtures, you actually put down all the possible pair combinations, assuming on the one hand there is a 1.2 allele, and assuming on the other hand there is no 1.2 allele. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. What I just said, though, was the answers I gave were consistent, and they did not have those included always.
But what I'm saying, sir, is even in your description of the pairings in your report, you described the pairings one way for stains which included Mr. Simpson and another way in some of the stains which excluded Mr. Simpson. Isn't that correct?
Well, that's correct, but it doesn't state what, in fact, I did in the numbers that went onto the board. The numbers on the board were wrong in all the profiles that included 1.3 and 4. I'm going to have to live with that mistake for a long time.
What page is that, Counsel?
I'm sorry, I'm referring to page 35 of his report now.
Thank you.
And as you may recall, also on Friday, I asked you, in contrast to the numbers that you put on that board, for, let's say, for instance, item 29, the steering wheel, under your method and your approach, I then asked you to calculate the frequency of that percentage of the population that could not be excluded as contributors to that mixture using the NRC approach that you were critical of in your report. Do you recall that?
Yes, and I would like the opportunity to explain the difference of those two approaches.
You will have that opportunity, sir, but I just want to try and get through this part as quickly as possible, all right? But there'll be plenty of opportunity for that. Now, after you left court on Friday morning, sir, did you go back and confer with any other people about what had happened and what methods you had used?
Not on the method I used. The method I used is the correct method. There was no need to confer with anybody.
Did you have any conversations with anybody from the different laboratories?
I've had a conversation with Gary Sims on the details of item 31. He confirmed his testimony and what was presented on the chart, so my analysis of that item was correct.
All right. Did you have any conversations with anyone other than Gary Sims from the laboratories?
No.
Did you have any conversations with the people who are responsible for manufacturing and designing this DQ Alpha kit?
Oh, that would be way outside my expertise. No, I did not.
Okay, now, other than speaking to people from the laboratories, did you confer with any prosecutors over the weekend?
I have met with them, not on what I should do, not on the details of my analysis, however.
Which prosecutors did you meet with over the weekend?
Ms. Khan and Mr. Clark.
After you left the witness stand on Friday until this morning, speak to any other statisticians anyplace else about this?
No, I didn't.
And over the weekend, you generated pages of data. Is that correct?
At your request, I generated a lot of paper.
Okay. And much of it was delivered to me last night. Is that correct?
As soon as it came off the printer, you had it.
And some more was delivered to me this morning.
Once again, as soon as it was possible, you had it, sir.
All right. And now that you've had the weekend, sir, have you generated new numbers to replace the old numbers on those boards?
I have.
Okay. I'd like to go through that now, Your Honor. Let's start with, want to help me get the Bronco board? Start with the Bronco board.
All right, Mr. Neufeld, I'm going to have the court reporter change your paper, but get the exhibit.
Your Honor, do we have a rag?
I'm sorry.
Do we have a rag available so the witness can erase the numbers that he put on direct examination and replace them now?
It's their exhibit. We're missing a juror right now.
Oh. Oh, no, we're not ready. I'm sorry.
In fact, we have all the jurors present, Mr. Neufeld. And you have People's Exhibit which up?
I have People's Exhibit 260.
Thank you.
Sir, on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning, did you write certain numbers on People's Exhibit 260 to express certain frequencies?
No.
Okay. Did you quote certain frequencies so Mr. Clark could write them on the board?
Yes.
Have you looked at the frequencies that Mr. Clark wrote on the board when he was simply writing on the board what you were quoting?
No, I couldn't see the board, so I just quoted, and I hope he wrote them down as I called them out.
Would you please take a look at that board? Would you
Well,
please step
it's-
down for a moment?
Sure.
Now, are the frequencies for items 303, 304, and 30 and 305 at the bottom of that board for those three stains? Are those the numbers that you quoted under direct examination on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning?
Well, I'm sure they are. I can't answer with certainty because I don't have those numbers with me.
Do you have a copy of the report that you had with you?
Oh, from the old report, yes.
Well, could you please check the report to make sure that the numbers that Mr. Clark wrote down on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning are the numbers that you testified to before this jury at that time?
Is there really any dispute as to that? but these are the numbers that were quoted.
I hope not.
I'm sure Mr. Clark wrote them down
Okay.
correctly.
All right. Sir, now that you've had the weekend to reanalyze the data, would you agree that those numbers for items 303, 304, and 305 are wrong?
Those numbers, every number with a 1.3 and a 4 and the DQ alpha, that's the only, I guess that's the only ones. Well, no, this one's correct, so...
I'm sorry, let the record indicate that he said item number 31 is correct.
Excuse me, 31 is correct. Mr. Simpson confirmed that. So on this board, it's 303, 304, and 305 have the 1.3 and the 4, which is the combination that confuses things. It hides the 1 point, so we don't know if it's there or not. I know we should either assume it's there or assume it's not and add those together. I know that, I didn't do it. So that these numbers need to be changed.
Okay. Your Honor, since Mr. Clark was simply writing down a written record of this man's testimony, I'm asking that these numbers now be replaced.
It's his exhibit, counsel. If you want to have a separate sheet of paper, mark 303, 304, and 305, you're entitled to do that, but it's their exhibit,
Okay?
if they object. And this will be 1208. Mr. Douglas, 1208.
This is 1208.
8.
And Dr. Weir, I'm going to entitle this exhibit Mixture Frequencies, okay? All right, sir? Now, let's start with items 303, 304, and 305, since that's where we just were. And what I'd like you to do first I'm going to divide this up into 3 different columns, sir. And the first column we will refer to as your old results, meaning the results that you testified to last week. Is that okay? And the second column we will call it new, reflecting your new results that you arrived at over the weekend. Okay, sir?
Right.
And we will do it for a number of different items. The first item we will do it for is evidence item 303, 304, and 305. Okay? And you have the data in front of you, sir, that reflects both the old numbers and the new numbers?
It'll be a bit awkward, but I think so, yes.
All right. Now, for instance, if we look simply at a two-contributor approach to this data, and we want to look at the most common frequency in the data, okay?
Right.
I believe you testified that for two contributors, the most common frequency under the old data that you gave this jury last week was 1 in approximately 1413, 1 in 1,413. Would that be correct?
That's the figure. I rounded it off to 1,400.
Okay. The precise number was what, 1 in 1413?
That's the precise number. I try not to give any of these figures I try not to give more than 2 significant figures, so I'd be more comfortable with 1,400.
All right. So that's 1 in 1,400 for the rareness of that particular profile in the mixture. Okay? Now, under the new calculations that you did over the weekend, sir, what is the most common probability, or I'm sorry, common frequency for the mixtures in 303, 304, and 305?
Well, I'm going to round to two places again, 1 in 570.
Okay? And so would you agree, sir, that the difference from the old approach to the new approach means that it's approximately 2.5 times more common in the new approach than it was in your old testimony last week? Is that correct?
That sounds about right, yes.
Okay? And the next one I would like to ask you about, sir, is G10, stain on the glove.
Okay.
Mrs. Robertson, do we have any permanent blue? Mr. Neufeld, I have a black. I would really prefer you not use those dry erase markers, because I have the feeling that there's a lack of permanence in those. You want to use I've just got a regular black. I'm just concerned that it might disappear if it's that dry erase stuff.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and use the black? Sure, please. Black those dry erase markers. Thank you.
Now, sir, looking at the glove stain on G10, which also, according to the prosecution witnesses, also includes and cannot exclude Mr. Simpson as one of the contributors, did you arrive at a most common frequency for that particular profile using the old data that you testified to before this jury last Thursday and Friday?
The figure,
Again, for two contributors.
excuse me, the figure I called up to Mr. Clark would have been 1 in 3,900.
Okay? And now, sir, that you've recalculated these numbers, having seen your error over the weekend, what is the most common probability for this particular profile under your technique given the new data?
It's the same data, but the correct, I hope, the calculations, 1 in 1,600.
And again, sir, would you agree that given your new calculations, the new calculations make this profile approximately 2.5 times more common than in your old calculations?
That's very close to 2.5 years.
Sir, now I'd like you to look at item 29, which is the stain on the steering wheel. And under your old calculations, for a two-contributor assumption, what was the most common profile?
I would have called 1 in 70, I think, Friday.
One moment, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Dr. Ware, would you please take a look at page 38 of your report?
I'm looking at it.
And am I correct in saying that on the old data, or your old calculations, I should say, that you put down the most common frequency for this mixture is 1 in 59, not 1 in 70?
Oh, excuse me. Yes, that's right.
Is that right?
Sorry. Yes, thank you.
In fact, under your new calculations, what is the most common frequency for item 29?
1 in 26.
So, sir, and for that one, you would agree that it is at least 2 times more common, given your new calculations, as it was in your old calculations. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And these are all stains where the prosecution says Mr. Simpson cannot be excluded, correct?
I'm thinking of the words. I think that's right, isn't it? I'm just looking at my table. Yes, Mr. Simpson is not excluded. That's correct.
Okay. But each of your new calculations makes those profiles that you observed in the mixture certainly significantly less rare than they were under your initial calculations. Isn't that correct, sir?
Well, they're about half to 2.5 times more common, yes.
Thank you. Now, sir, I asked you, as you may recall, to do some calculations on the frequencies of these mixtures, relying instead not on your approach, but on that NRC method which you are critical of. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And you recall Sir, when we looked at the Caucasian, African American, and Hispanic databases using that NRC approach, which you were critical of,
Well, it's not me that's critical of it. It's wrong, and it's contrary to the published literature.
I understand your position, sir.
Well, it's not my position. It's wrong, and it's not the published way of doing things.
But you said a moment ago, sir, that you yourself, well, withdrawn. But under that method, when we calculated the most common frequencies using the 3 databases for item 29, because that was the only one we did it for last week. Do you recall that?
Yes, we did a couple of different things. You better remind me which one you're talking about.
Okay.
I mean, which calculation?
Well, we did a series of calculations to show what percentage of the population could not be excluded as having contributed to the mixture, which is a profile described in item 29. Do you recall that?
Yes, I wanted to be clear that we're talking. Are you talking about genotypes or alleles at this point?
I'm talking about genotypes.
Thank you.
Okay? And when we did that, sir, the most common sum using that NRC method that you believe is wrong was approximately 1 in 2 people. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't even dignify that number by putting it on the same piece of paper. It's talking about something so different that when you lay it alongside, you're giving the impression we're talking about the same thing. It is an answer to a completely different question.
I understand that that's your opinion, sir.
No, excuse me, sir. That is not an opinion. That is a different, completely different question. It's irrelevant, and I would very much like to take a minute and explain why it's irrelevant.
We'll have more than ample opportunity, sir. Right now, what I'm asking you is this. You did some calculations on Friday morning.
Objection argumentative.
Well,
Also irrelevant.
ask a question, Mr.
You
Neufeld.
made some calculations on Friday morning as to the frequency of that percentage of the population that cannot be excluded as having been a contributor to the mixture found in item 29. Is that correct?
Well, you had me read out your calculations. I didn't.
Were any of the numbers that I reported on that piece of paper inconsistent with the numbers that appeared on the cell market databases?
The numbers you reported were from the cell mark databases,
Thank you.
yes.
Sir, and when you summed those frequencies, was the number, the most common aggregate of those frequencies for item 29, using that NRC method that you say is wrong,
Excuse me,
was
it's not,
approximately 1 in 2 people?
it's not me that's saying it's wrong. It is wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. It is wrong.
Okay? But using that NRC method, sir, is the number that was arrived at approximately 1 in 2 people?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Again,
Objection misstates the evidence.
Your Honor, I'm going to do some more calculations. Perhaps this would be a good time to break for lunch.
Go ahead, finish.
You want to keep going?
Finish.
Okay. Now, Friday I asked you to do calculations using that NRC method for item 29.
Mr. Neufeld.
Approximately 45 minutes.
All right, we'll take our recess at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember all my admonitions to you. Don't discuss this case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case, conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you, or allow anybody to communicate with you. We'll stand in recess until 1 p.m. People are represented, jury is not present. Counsel, anything we need to take up before we invite the jurors to join us? All right, let's have the jury, please. All right, let the record reflect we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Weir, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right. Good afternoon again, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Mr. Neufeld.
Dr. Weir, just so we can explain these fractions a little bit to the court and to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, for instance, taking item number 29, when I show that fraction 1 over 2, doesn't that mean that approximately 50% of the population could not be excluded as a potential contributor to the mixture reflected on the steering wheel stain? Is that what 1 over 2 means?
That's what that says. It doesn't allow us to interpret the mixture, however.
But that is what it says, sir. Is that correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Thank you. Now, what I'd like you to do, sir, is I'm going to also ask you to do, using the same approach that we utilized for item 29, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing for item 303, which is 304 and 305 as well as G10. And to do that, sir, again, referring to the databases that you received in this case, the database from Cellmark and then the database for D1S80.
Excuse me, Mr. I have used FBI's data on the PCR.
On the D1S80, but I also showed you, as you may recall, Cellmark's tables for the data on DQ alpha. Is that correct?
That's right. So we're not only doing different calculations, we're using different databases.
All right. Well, here's that sign. Remember that the DQ alpha calculations that you relied on for arriving at that NRC number was defendant's 1201. I'll just show it again to you to refresh your recollection, sir.
Yes, your calculations are Cellmark databases and mine are FBI.
Okay. But I think you said, frankly, that it shouldn't make much difference. So the difference should be rather minimal for these DQ alpha frequencies, whether one uses the FBI's database or the Cellmark database. Is that correct?
They won't be greatly different, but they won't be the same.
Okay. But since we already did the calculation for item 29 using Cellmark's database, and since Cellmark did report DQ alpha typing results in this case, I'm going to ask you to use Cellmark's table again. And then, of course, for the D1S80, you would use the FBI's databases, since Cellmark doesn't have any databases for D1S80. Item 303, 304, and 305 has been typed, has it not, referring to People's Exhibit 260, both on the DQ alpha locus and also on the D1S80 locus. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So one could So if one wanted to answer the question, that is the same question that is posed in the NRC report, which is what percentage of the population cannot be excluded as being a potential contributor to this mixture, namely the mixture on the console of 303, 304, and 305, one could make certain calculations and generate certain sums for the DQ alpha locus, and then again for the D1S80 locus, and then you would combine those. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, you've just pointed out to me, in fact, that we didn't do that, of course, here. We've only done the one locus. My figures are on all the loci. Yours are just on the one locus.
For the 303, 304, and 305 there.
The 303, 304, and 305 is typed at DQ alpha and D1S80. The figures I've given are based on both loci. You've only given half the story.
Okay.
So it's even more misleading than I had realized.
Well, on item 29, there is only one locus. Isn't that correct? I'm sorry, right. There are polymarkers in the DQ alpha locus. Isn't that right?
That's right. So
But-
there are 6 loci.
but
And I've given a 6 locus result, and you've given a 1 locus
Well,
result.
excuse me, sir. But for item 29, isn't it true that the polymarkers do not discriminate, the polymarker results themselves?
I'm not sure that's true. Let's just go and look.
Well, let me ask you the question specifically, sir. Isn't it true that 100% of the population is reflected in those polymarker results alone?
I think finally we've put our finger on our main difference. To calculate the frequency of a mixture, I take the mixtures of people, and in the correct method that does not sum to 100%. Your method does, so we've got them on the same piece of paper.
Right.
We're talking about very different things.
I'm not talking about my method, so I'm talking about the NRC method, Dr. Weir. And what I'm asking you is, applying the NRC method to item 29, would you agree that there's no one in the population who could not be included or who wouldn't be included as a potential contributor to the polymarker profile that you see for item 29?
I think that's the point. That's why it's so absurd.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And would you agree, sir, that the one genetic system where there is some portion of the population who would be excluded is for the DQ alpha system in item 29?
Only if you mean excluded, meaning single people. For the mixtures, of course, we've got several people.
Right, I'm talking about single people who could be excluded, saying that there are some people who just could not have been a contributor to this mixture.
Is that the sort of question that I think I'm agreeing with you, yes.
Okay, fine. Now, here's what I'm asking, sir. For items 303, 304, and 305, if we use that NRC method, and we use the D1S80 databases from the FBI, and we use the DQ alpha databases that Cellmark used in doing their own calculations, for 303, 304, and 305, this would be 1209.
It's not my words that it's wrong, sir. It's just wrong. I mean, what if the prosecutor, the defense attorney said, "No, I want you to add 1 plus 1, and I want you to make it 3." Would an expert have
So
to
just
do
to
that?
remind you of what's up on the screen at this point, we're looking at the genotypes for the broncho console stains, 303, 304, and 305. And,
Fine.
okay? And the DQ alpha profile that's seen in that mixture is a 1.1, a 1.3, and a 4, and there may or may not be a 1.2 there. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And now to the frequencies and the sums of the frequencies for the Caucasian, African American, and Hispanic databases that I present on that table that you're looking at now correctly give you the aggregate, the sum, for the various matching genotypes that are consistent with that mixture for an individual.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like you've listed all the possible genotypes, because every genotype could be in that mixture.
Right.
Am I correct? This looks like a complete listing of all the 10 genotypes.
Yes.
So I'm puzzled as to why the frequencies don't add up to 100%. I must be missing something.
Okay. Yeah, because there are some alleles in the system, if you may recall from your review of how the system functions, like allele 2, allele 3. Do you remember that, sir?
Is this a question? Are you testifying, or are you asking a question?
Well, I'm asking, I'll rephrase it as a question for the witness. Do you recall in your discussion of the systems with Mr. Sims that there are more alleles in the system than alleles that are present in this mixture?
Yes, I do, and that's what I
Okay.
had forgotten. Thank you.
Right. All right. So when you then look at the frequencies reflected in the cell mark tables for the genotypes that are present in that mixture, are the numbers reflected on defendant's
1209.
1209 accurate?
The one on the screen now?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay. Now what I'd like to do is show you what will be defendant's 1210. And in 1210, we were told that there are 3 possible alleles present in the D1S80 system. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And the various genotypes that could comprise those 3 alleles, 18, 24, and 25, are reflected in the first column. Is that right?
That's right.
And if we were to sum up all the possible genotype frequencies that could be part of that mixture, you would arrive at the numbers that we have on that last line titled sum for the 3 different racial databases. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's right, yes.
Okay. Now, if you wanted to then look at what is the frequency of the population who could not be excluded as a potential contributor to this mixture, both on the D1S80 level and the DQ alpha level, you would then have to combine the frequencies from those 2 different loci. Is that correct?
That's true.
And, sir, now I will show you defendant's
Be
1211.
right back. I gotta go check my phone.
And does defendant's 1211 now reflect the combined frequencies of the DQ alpha system and the D1S80 system for those 3 databases as I just described?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And would you agree, sir, that if we simply look at the most common frequency of people who could be included as contributors to that mixture, of those 3 databases, what is the most common?
It looks like 1 and 4.
Okay? So what we're saying, sir, is that given the mixtures that we see... Black. No, you did. That if we're just considering what percentage of the population cannot be excluded as being a contributor to the mixtures reflected on the bloodstains on the console using that NRC method as we see it up there, would be approximately 1 in 4. Is that correct?
Right.
And what that says when you say 1 in 4, that means approximately 25% of the population. If you simply type them at random, they would come out with genotypes for these 2 systems that would be included or consistent with the profile seen in that mixture on the console. Is that correct?
Well, included but not consistent. The profile is a mixture of more than one
I understand,
person.
but you wouldn't be able to exclude 25% of the population approximately.
No, I don't think you would want to do that calculation, but you're quite right.
Thank you. And now, finally, for that last item, sir, G10, which is the stain on the glove. Again, the DQ alpha profile for that one, for the DQ alpha mixture, would be reflected on defendant's 1209, would it not? Because you have, again, the 1.1, the 1.3, the 4, and you may or may not have the 1.2.
It's just the same as the previous one, yes.
Same numbers, right? Same
Right.
frequencies,
Mhm.
fine. And now, for the D1S80 frequencies, however, instead of seeing 3 alleles present, you only see 2. Is that correct?
That's right.
The 24 and the 25.
That's right, yes.
Now I'll show you what will mark 1210, I believe.
1211.
1211. 1212.
12.
And what you see on the first column of 1212, sir, are the various genotype combinations that could go into that mixture. Is that correct?
Yes, the genotypes along with their frequencies, and they seem to be fine.
And those frequencies are correct.
I think so.
Okay. And then we have the sums of those frequencies at the bottom.
That's right.
Now, once again, for this stain, if you wanted to take the same approach that we did for 303, 304, and 305, you would then combine the frequency for the D1S80 locus with the frequency from the DQ alpha locus. Is that correct?
Right.
And now I'd like you to take a look at 1213. Okay, and on 1213, sir, have we done just that? Have we combined the frequencies for each of these genotype sums, both for Caucasians, African Americans, and Hispanics?
That's right, yes.
Now, of these three databases, what is the most common frequency of individuals who cannot be excluded as having contributed to a mixture such as this profile?
Well, it's about 1 in 20.
Well, isn't it for Caucasians 1 in 10?
Oh, excuse me. Right, yes, 1 in 10. I was looking at the wrong one. Yes, that is
All
1
right.
in 10.
And so if the question was, Dr. Weir, what percentage of the population would be included as potential contributors to this mixture on the glove, if that was the question being posed, the answer would be 1 in 10. Is that correct?
Right.
The ink's running out, Your Honor.
I think I have some new ones in the red cup down here. Mr. Neufeld. Try the red cup there.
This one back so it doesn't get recycled.
He's so annoying.
Thank you, sir.
He's so annoying.
And so with regard to that last fraction, 1 in 10, what you're saying
then
is,
I
sir,
don't care.
that if you look at the entire population, that approximately 10% of that population would have genotype frequencies which would be includable or represented in that mixture on stain G10. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
This is kettle corn. I'll share popcorn.
Now, Dr. Weir,
I mean, kettle corn, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Dr. Weir, when you failed to take into account in your calculations last week, was it that
I guess
when you see the
technically.
1.3 and the 4 alleles in a
Yep.
mixture, that you don't know whether the 1.2 allele is there or not? Is that correct?
That's what gave me the problems, yes.
Now, when you, one second. I believe you also said that before you would undertake all these statistical calculations, you wanted to be absolutely sure of what these mixtures meant, and that's why you contacted Mr. Sims. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Well, sir, do you realize, as you sit here today, that just as the presence of the 1.3 and I'm sorry, withdrawing. Do you realize, as you sit here today, Dr. Weir, that just as when you have the 1.3 and 4 allele, you can't tell whether the 1.2 is there or not, that same phenomenon occurs if you have a mixture and the 1.1 and the 4 allele are present. Are you aware of that, sir?
I'm not aware. I'm not sure we have a profile like that in this case.
Well, let's look at item 29 again, Dr. Weir.
All right.
Have the original notes? Dr. Weir, let me have marked for identification. Should we have 3 pages? Three.
I just right now figured out why the jury acquitted him. I know why now. I'm not 100% sure I would have done any different now that I think about it. Hold on, keep going, guys. We're all gonna get there.
Pages of Selmark's notes.
1214.
This will be collectively 1214, Your Honor.
Right, why don't you staple them together so they don't get lost?
Dr. Weir.
Why don't you show that to Mr. Clark
Sure.
so he knows what pages we're talking about here?
Sir, will you hurry up? What are you looking over at the prosecution for? Keep your nose at your own table, sir.
Mr. Neufeld, proceed.
Thank you. Dr. Weir, there's already been testimony in this case that cell marks number 19 is their internal number for LAPD item 29, the steering wheel. I'd like to show you what has been marked as defendants 1213, 1214. I'll show you their notes. I'll show you their comments and their characterization of the typing for DQ offer on their number 19, which is the steering wheel.
Okay.
Now, in the Cellmark laboratory notes, sir, for their DQ alpha typing of the steering wheel, do not they say that it is a 1.1, a 4, and a possible 1.2?
Objection foundation system.
Sustain.
Before you commence to do your statistical work on Cellmark's data in this case, did you take it upon yourself to learn how the data should be interpreted?
Objection vague as to date.
For the interpretation of the mixtures on this item specifically, I used the chart and evidence. I have not seen these pages before.
Are you aware of the fact, Dr. Weir, that any time there is a 1.1 and a 4 allele present, the 1.2 might also be matched? Are you aware of that?
Objection misstates the evidence.
Or will
Also beyond the scope and no foundation.
sustain. Foundation.
Well, let me present you.
It takes every single fiber of my being not to just fast forward it to the defense.
Dr. Weir, when you calculated the frequencies for the mixture on the steering wheel, did you assume that the 1.2 allele was not masked?
Objection, same objection.
My calculations were based on the chart, which shows that it was present.
So
on,
you
on
say-
both DOJ and Cellmark, I saw the same pattern from both laboratories. I assumed that they were correct and made that calculation.
So are you saying, sir, that when you did your calculations on the steering wheel, you assumed in that calculation that the 1.2 allele was not masked, but was actually present?
It's stated here has been present from both laboratories, so I assume it's present.
Okay. And sir, would you agree, if in fact a 1.2 allele could equally be masked whenever the 1.1 and 4 are present, as you've already acknowledged it is when the 1.3 and 4 is present, would that also change your frequency estimates?
Objection assumes facts, not evidence, also misstates the evidence.
Sustain. Rephrase question.
If you were to learn,
He's just
sir,
making shit up as he goes.
that when you have a 1.1 and a 4 allele present, as you do on the steering wheel,
To the counsel, why don't you more clearly frame that as a hypothetical question?
okay? Well, assume for the moment the hypothetical, sir, that whenever you see a 1.1 and a 4 allele in a mixture, you can't be sure whether the 1.2 is there. Just want you to assume that.
Is there some evidence that I should assume that from these two reports?
So I'm just asking you to assume that. Would you assume that for the next question I'm about to ask you?
I'm not objecting to the improper hypothetical at this point.
Overruled.
Can you assume that, sir?
Oh, I can assume anything. I don't think it's going to impact my analysis.
Okay. Well, if you assume for the moment that whenever you have the 1.1 allele and the 4 allele present in this hypothetical, that you don't know whether the 1.2 allele is present. In that hypothetical, if you then calculated the frequencies for the mixtures on the steering wheel, would you arrive at frequencies that are more common than those frequencies that you arrived at either in your Friday calculations or in your Monday morning calculations?
Objection, no foundation, also assumes facts not evidence.
Overruled.
The way you've described this hypothetical sounds to me like the situation we've already discussed, the 1.3 and 4.
That's correct.
If that's the fact, and I have no knowledge one way or the other, if that was the case and that was ignored, then that would affect the results, certainly.
And sir, would that also affect the results in such a way that your calculations on the steering wheel would again be statistically biased against Mr. Simpson?
It's argumentative. It's argumentative. Rephrase the question.
Well, would you agree, sir, that if that condition in the hypothetical was correct, then the statistics that you've articulated to this jury, both last week and this morning, would incorrectly state the frequencies in such a way as to make them seem more rare than they really are?
Yes, that's true.
As to this remark, we're at 12:15, which is the Amplitude User's Guide.
12:15.
I do have an objection to the foundation.
All right. Well, you can show it to him, see if he knows what it is.
I want you to take a look at this page. It begins here and ends here. Okay, just read carefully. This and then this table.
I've read this.
Okay. Now, having read that document, okay, sir, would you agree that apparently, given the construction of this DQ alpha test,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Objection beyond the scope of this witness's expertise.
Foundation sustained.
sir, have you ever, before you did any calculations in this case, you said that you spoke to Gary Sims and you attempted to learn the limitations of the system. Is that correct?
Yes, I've asked him to confirm that the results on the charts are accurate, and he confirmed that they were. I've not seen this document before.
May the record reflect the witness is referring to the
12:15. Yes.
No, excuse me.
Sir, plain and simple, wouldn't you agree that you've also made another mistake on your calculations for item 29?
objection argumentative, also asked and answered.
Argumentative. Rephrase the question.
Sir, as you sit here today at this moment on the witness stand, did you make a mistake in your calculations for item 29?
No, I didn't. This is the first time I've seen this document, and it says here, apparent heterozygous type 1.1 and 4. If we see that apparent, meaning that's what we see, that apparent type may have a 1.2. The evidence presented to me quite clearly states a 1.1, 1.2, 4 mixture. It does not show a 1.14 mixture.
Dr. Weir, before you did your calculations in this case, had you ever even looked at a DQ alpha strip?
Objection relevant. Also beyond the scope of the record.
Overruled.
I have not looked at a DQ alpha strip at all, ever. As I've said repeatedly, my analysis starts with what the forensic scientists tell me in general, and in particular what's written on these charts.
But, sir, don't you think it's important as a statistician who's relying on someone else's data that you first learn what the limitations of that system is in terms of ambiguities?
I don't have enough time to learn all of the molecular biology. I must analyze data presented to me. If a reputable forensic scientist says this is the data, that's what I analyze. I can't do everything. I've been very careful, I hope, to explain I'm not a molecular biologist. I must rely on what's told to me.
Well, sir, wouldn't you agree then, at least in the hypothetical that I gave, if in fact, when you have a 1.1 allele and a 4 allele present in a mixture, if in fact you can tell whether the 1.2 is there or not, if that was true in the hypothetical, wouldn't that mean that your statistical frequencies for item 29 understate the true frequency of that profile?
Objection, no
It's
foundation.
hypothetical.
And also is beyond the scope of direct.
The hypothetical is as you've described it. It's not consistent with what I have in front of me.
But as the hypothetical as I've described it to you, sir, would mean that your frequencies once again would be in error, correct?
Objection, argument.
Sustained.
Well, the hypothetical, as I've explained it to you, would mean once again that your frequencies understate.
Sustained. Rephrase the question, Counsel.
Okay. Here. Well, accepting the hypothetical as I've given it to you, wouldn't that mean, or, sorry, would that mean that the frequencies of occurrence would be more common than those that you testified to previously?
Ask and answer.
Overruled. I assume this is the last time we're going to answer this.
On that, yes.
My results, which I believe are correct, are based on the assumptions of the data being as it is. I have been very careful. I've given you the answer for the profile in front of me. That is not the answer for a profile not in front of me.
Sir? So please, all I'm asking you is that you answer the question. If in fact,
Sustained.
Objection, Your Honor. Move to strike
Sustained.
counsel's comment.
Sustained.
if in fact the condition I put into the hypothetical is correct, would you agree that the frequencies that you've testified to here for item 29 are in fact less common than what they actually would be?
If I calculated frequencies under one assumption when the other one was true, then I would be misstating them,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Now, the methods that you employed in this case in calculating the frequencies of these mixtures, have you ever testified to those methods in any other criminal case involving DNA evidence before this one?
No, I haven't.
To your knowledge, Dr. Weir, has any other expert in the United States ever used your approach that you used with this jury to calculate the frequencies in a mixture in a forensic DNA case?
I believe Dr. Stoney in Chicago uses these calculations. I'm not sure whether he's testified. He's certainly written about them.
But
He's
you're-
the scientist in this country, and there are scientists outside of this country who use that method.
Okay, once again, sir, to your knowledge, has anybody, any expert anywhere in the United States of America, ever testified in a court of law in a criminal case applying the methods to calculating mixture frequencies that you've testified to in this case?
Objection, argument.
Overruled.
I think whether I know it or not is not really the point.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I would ask
Yes.
that the witness be instructed to answer the question.
Dr. Weir, are you aware of any such testimony?
I'm not aware of any, sir.
Thank you. And I believe you said that the California Department of Justice relies on the FBI database for its RFLP numbers, is that right?
That's true.
And you said you've consulted the FBI since 1989.
That's true.
And you've also been consulting to Cellmark since about the same time on their statistical methods and their databases, correct?
At about the same time, yes.
And I believe you testified that you reviewed, at the conclusion of your direct testimony, that you reviewed the statistical work done by both DOJ and Cellmark in this case, isn't that right?
That's right.
And you said after your review of that data, it meets with your approval, is that correct?
I'm not sure if I said those words, but I think the estimates they gave are good estimates. They follow naturally from the databases they used, yes.
Dr. Ware, when you reviewed Cellmark's work in this case, were you as careful in your evaluation and assessment of their work as you were of your own work in this case?
Objection, argument.
Sustained.
Well, Dr. Ware, were you more careful with your evaluation of the FBI's statistical work and DOJ's statistical work in this case than you were with your own statistical work in this case?
Same objection.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Would it be possible to bring something up with the court?
Bring something up with the court?
I'm sorry, no, to bring a matter before the court's attention for resolution.
With the court order. Clark?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Dr. Weir, with regard to your describing the approximate frequencies or estimates for mixtures that you just spoke about with Mr. Neufeld a few moments ago,
Yes, sir.
what's your opinion about whether or not such frequencies should be placed on mixed samples?
I think they're totally misleading. They completely ignore the fact that there is a mixture. We are trying to interpret the evidence of a matching stain in a mixture. Not to take into account that it is a mixture, I think, is misleading.
Okay.
Pull the microphone a little
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Thank you.
In particular, and let's set aside for the moment the way Mr. Neufeld asked you or had you calculate frequencies for some of these mixtures. Aside from that, what about applying a frequency to mixtures at all? How do you feel about that?
Well, it is useful we have the evidences that there's a mixed stain and the profile in the mixture matches that of known people, and it may be sufficient to stop there and saying that there's a match or a failure to exclude those people, but it is useful to say if this is an astonishing event or not. It gives us some sense of whether we should be surprised to see such a mixture.
Now, you described the fact that you had previously not testified in any other case to these approximate frequencies for mixtures. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
In this particular case, were you asked to calculate frequencies for the mixtures in these results?
Yes, I believed I was asked late in May to do that.
Who were you asked by?
Sustained. Sustained.
Were you in fact, well, let me rephrase that. Did you in fact calculate these frequencies for these mixtures? And I'm talking about now the stains that have more than one source, so that we're clear about which samples we're talking about.
Right.
Were you in fact asked to calculate mixtures for those frequencies as a result of a direct order of the court?
Yes, I understand I was.
Have you been previously asked by any courts or ordered by any courts to present frequencies for mixtures in any other case you've been involved in?
No, I've never been involved in a case in which there were mixed stains.
Now, I'd like to take you, Dr. Weir, if I could, to, and Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to use the glove results board for a moment. Your Honor, that's Exhibit 272B.
272B, glove results board.
And in particular, if I can draw your attention, Dr. Weir, and I don't know if you can see it, but there is at the very top.
Excuse me, may I refer to my copy? It'll be a little bit easier.
Yes, you're referring to one of those smaller Xerox copies
Yes, if that's convenient.
of the glove results chart.
Yes.
In particular, at the very top is an item described on the chart as inside back of wrist and back below little finger. Do you see that?
That's right, yes.
To your knowledge, is that the only mixture that you were asked to calculate a frequency for that came about as a result of testing by the Los Angeles Police Department?
Yes, and that's indirect knowledge. I think it was you who brought that to my attention, yes.
And when were you actually, well, were you, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Were you asked by me to calculate a frequency as to that particular sample?
Yes, I was.
When did I ask you to do that?
I think it was Wednesday evening of last week.
Would that be the night before your initial testimony in this case?
That's right. I'm not sure if it was Wednesday or Thursday. It was one of those two nights.
Is that, well, let me rephrase that. Is that the only sample that you were asked to calculate a mixture frequency for from the LAPD?
Yes, it is.
Now what I'd like to turn your attention to, with the court's permission, I'd like to put up the Bronco automobile results board. Exhibit 260, Your Honor.
All right, 260, Bronco results board.
And referring you, first of all, Dr. Weir, do you have a smaller version of the Bronco results board also?
Yes, I have it in front of me.
In particular, I'd like to refer your attention to item number 31, labeled the center console. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
You have described previously that you have reported frequencies for that mixture based on the 1.2 allele being actually present. Is that right?
That's right.
You described both, I believe, last week as well as earlier today, that you, when you calculate your frequencies, calculate those numbers based on the types that the analyst reports as being present.
That's right, yes.
In that particular sample, and let's start with the results board, does that result in fact indicate the 1.2 is present?
Yes, it does. It does not have the word possible or any other descriptor there. It's quite clearly there just by itself.
Did you take any steps to verify that presence of that 1.2 allele by any conversation or communication with any testing analyst?
Well, I noticed it was different from other instances where the 1.2 was written with possible, so I checked with Gary Sims.
Objection as to what Mr. Sims said.
You may continue.
I checked with Mr. Gary Sims.
All right, you check with Mr. Sims. Period. Next question.
As a result of that conversation, did you then, well, let me rephrase that a little differently. As a result of that conversation, did it verify in your mind the presence of the 1.2 allele in that sample?
Objection. Mr. Sims.
I had no doubt in my mind that Mr. Sims thought the 1.2 was there.
Sustained. That'll be stricken.
What I'm actually referring you to, if I may, Dr. Weir, is as a result of that conversation, did you then calculate, or actually, let me rephrase that, did it verify in your mind that your previous calculation was appropriate?
Yes, it did.
Is it then correct that with regard to item number 31 and the frequencies that are written off to the far right, which are for both 2 contributors, 3 contributors, and 4 contributors, are then accurate?
Well, they haven't changed since Friday. So I have in my, well, maybe I should look and see what's there.
All right, if you would, in this instance.
These seem to be consistent with what we said on Friday. These results haven't changed.
In other words, there was no need, in your opinion, to change any of the numbers on item number 31 based on your conversation with Gary Sims as well as the data that had been presented to you before.
Objection as to based on
That's right.
Now, I'd like to turn your attention, Dr. Weir, if I could, to item number 29. You recall Mr. Neufeld asking you some questions towards the end or very end of his cross-examination.
Yes, I recall that.
And in particular, do you recall questions he asked you about whether or not the 1.2 allele in the sample number 29, and I'm referring to the DQ alpha results, may or may not have been present? Do you recall that question?
Yes, he was asking me that.
Now, with regard to that sample, and let's refer to the chart itself, there are actually results on item number 29 at the DQ alpha marker from 2 different laboratories. Is that right?
That's right. Both DOJ and Cellmark have results.
Let's focus initially on the Department of Justice's results. That's the uppermost of the 2 laboratories that are listed to the right of item 29.
That's right.
Those results, do they make any statement about whether or not the 1.2 allele is present?
No, it's just listed without any descriptor.
There's no language like possible?
No.
Referring you to Cellmark's results as well on that same item, is there any qualifier about the presence of the 1.2 allele for item 29?
No, there's not.
I'd like you to assume hypothetically that the analysts testified in this case that with regard to item 29, the 1.2 allele is present based on their interpretation of the data. Would your frequencies under that hypothetical that you have listed off to the right, well, let me rephrase that if I may, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Have you made a recalculation of a portion of item number 29 as far as the frequencies themselves?
A small portion of them I have, yes.
Okay, what does that relate to?
That's a different issue. It's are we allowed to multiply together all the numbers in the profile? And there's a hint of some dependence in one of the FBI's databases, their black database. So for any calculation involving black database, I'm answering too much. That refers to the polymarker. Excuse me. The DQ alpha I did not change.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'd like to focus your attention on is
Excuse me.
at the moment the DQ alpha results.
Thank you. So I have not changed the DQ alpha.
In your view, as a result, and again assuming hypothetically that both analysts testify to the presence of the 1.2 allele, is there any reason that you should assume it is not present?
No.
Now, Your Honor, what I'm going to ask the witness to do is with respect to certain calculations, we have prepared numbers in accordance with the recalculations already described by the witness, and I have magnetic boards that I would like to use with numbers already written on them.
Proceed.
Dr. Weir?
Have you shown these to Mr. Neufeld?
No, I have not.
Start with the ones that Mr. Neufeld already had a chance to look at.
First of all, with a number of these mixtures that you described earlier today, have you had an opportunity to recalculate them over the weekend?
Yes, I have.
First of all, with regard to, and let's start initially with items 303, 304, and 305 that are from the center console of the Bronco.
Fine.
Those all actually, in your initial or original testimony about frequencies under these various possible combinations, those numbers were the same for all three of those items. Is that right?
That's right, and they'll remain so. The profiles are the same.
As far as the calculations you described in your testimony last week, did you commit an error in making those calculations?
Yes, I did.
Do you know how to calculate them properly?
Yes, I do. That's what makes me so angry with myself.
Is it the case that what you left out was the assumption that the 1.2 allele for these three samples
Hopefully
might
a
not
single.
be there?
As it turned out, that was...
Probably double.
I
Hopefully
thought
a
I
single.
was doing it correctly, but the way I had written my computer program did not build that in properly. I thought it had, and I hadn't.
Obviously, shots. Obviously.
The effect of assuming that the 1.2 allele may not be there, how did that impact your calculations, if you can describe that in a simple fashion?
Well, the profiles all appear to be more common than I had reported on Friday.
Did you leave out this possibility on purpose?
My shots of
No,
choice
sir.
right now.
I left it out
snake
for all the
bites.
profiles that involved the 1.3 and the 4. Every time I should have made this accommodation, I failed to.
Did you try to hide it when it was pointed out to you?
It was so obvious, there was no way. In fact, I've pointed out now that I did it in additional items.
If outside of court Mr. Neufeld had pointed it out to you that it was missing, would you have corrected it then?
Sustained. Calls for speculation.
Would you have included it if anyone had pointed out to you that it was missing?
Sustained. Speculation.
Would you have included it if you yourself had discovered it missing in reading your report?
Or will.
Absolutely, yes.
Have you since last week made that calculation, or those calculations for these three samples, 303, 304, and 305?
Yes, I have.
Have you also made those calculations for a few other samples that the same occurrence happened in?
That's right, I have.
Yukon Jack
Now,
and
referring you,
a
if
little
I
bit of
can,
lime
to
juice.
What appear to be three
Snake
magnetic
bite.
covers, labeled 303, 304, and 305. Those appear to have numbers
Jude,
written in
don't
the
tell
same
anybody
manner
to
as
share
what's
because
currently
guess
on
what?
the Bronco results chart for the possibility of two
Dude.
contributors.
Before you tell people to share, you might not want to because I'm stingy and mean. I'm not sharing. Look what I have. Hold on, I gotta look. Oh, it's green. Darn it. Ghirardelli. Dark chocolate mint. Mine. Mine. I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing. So don't tell people to share my video because I'm stingy. That's right. If she doesn't want to share her chocolate, don't share her video.
3 contributors and 4 contributors. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
And do those 3 magnetic covers for items 303 through 305, do they appear to have the corrected numbers, accounting for the possibility that the 1.2 allele was not present?
Yes, they do.
All right. With the court's permission, then I'd like to apply those to the board, bearing in mind they can be removed because they're magnetic.
Proceed.
Now, Dr. Weir, what I'm going to ask you to do is, as far as both the old and the new calculations for, and let's just take 303, do you have each of those numbers in front of you so that you don't have to try to read the board from an angle?
I have one. Let me get the other one.
Josh, the 7th one is delicious.
And I'll use 303. For the assumption of 2 contributors in the mixture, was 1 in 1,400 as the most common, is that right?
That's right.
And the new approximate frequency is 1 in 570, is that right?
That's right.
How would you characterize that difference between those two?
Well, they're different numbers, obviously. One's about a little over twice the size of the other one. They both convey the impression that the profile is not especially rare, I don't know if we have to have a particularly good, I don't know if I have a particularly good word to describe it, but it has the frequency in either the hundreds or the low thousands, whichever way we go.
Okay, the least common for two contributors is 1 in 18,000. Is that right? I'm referring to the frequencies you provided in court last year.
The old figures are 18,000, yes.
And is the new figure at the upper range, that is the least common, approximately 1 in 10,000?
That's right, yes.
Would your comments about the difference between 18,000 and 10,000 be consistent with what you just described about the difference at the most common number?
Yes, yes.
Now, I'd like to turn your attention, if I could, to the assumption of 3 contributors.
All right.
And when you comment about 303, your comments, do they not apply equally to 304 and 305 as well?
That's right. It's the same profile, and the same numbers are going to apply.
Now, first of all, in terms of the actual results of the DNA tests themselves, there are 3 individuals in this case who are not excluded from the actual tests themselves on 303, 304, and 305. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
In other words, Mr. Simpson is not excluded,
Right,
Mr. Goldman is not excluded,
right,
and Nicole Brown is not excluded.
right.
The original frequencies that you reported for the assumption of 3 contributors last week, the more common number, or most common, was about 1 in 450. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
You have recalculated, and that new number, instead of 1 in 450, is approximately what for 3 contributors?
It's a 1 in 320.
How would you characterize the difference between 450 and 320?
Objection, I would ask that we can do it mathematically, but I would not allow you opinions. The frequencies speak for themselves.
Well, the numbers are different. They differ by 150. That's less than a factor of 2. I think both the numbers are conveying the same sense of the frequency of this mixture of 3 genotypes.
The original number, and we'll look now at the upper end, that is the least common
All right.
frequency, for 3 contributors again, appears to read 1 in 29,000 from last week. Is that right?
That's right.
The new figure is 1 in 25,000. Is that right?
That's right.
Again, how would you characterize the differences between 29,000 and 25,000?
Then you have John's expertise.
It's difficult to say that they would give us a different impression. They are both saying the same thing. This mixture would occur with a frequency in the thousands.
And then lastly, on the assumption of 4 contributors, the range, and perhaps we can do this a little quicker, the range that you provided us last week for the assumption again of 4 persons contributing to that mixture was between approximately 1 in 49 to 1 in 69,000. Is that right?
Right.
And the new figures provided today are between 1 in 41 to 1 in 65,000. Is that right?
That's right.
Would your comments about the differences between your original numbers and the numbers today that you described for 2 and 3 contributors be consistent with 4 also?
Yes.
Now, while we're on the results from the Bronco, if we could, have you also prepared a magnetic cover reflecting what should be, or what are the approximate frequencies for 2, 3, and 4 contributors for the steering wheel item number 29?
Yes, I have.
And showing you a new magnetic cover. Would you take a moment to look at those and tell us if those are in fact accurate estimates?
Yes, these are the numbers I've calculated.
And as far as the original number for 2 contributors, that was from 1 in 60 to 1 in 11,000, is that right?
That's right.
And the proper estimates would be from approximately 1 in 26 to 1 in 11,000?
Right.
As far as assuming 3 contributors, the original estimate was 1 in 9 to 1 in 3,500,
Right.
and the new one is 1 in 2 to 1 in 3,500.
Right.
And then lastly, the old or former estimate was 1 in 1 to 1 in 3,000, and now it is 1 in 1 to 1 in 1,300 approximately. Is that right?
Right.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm going to place the 29 cover
Yes, thank you.
on the board. As far as these estimates, Dr. Weir, that you provided last week, and in some cases provided additional numbers for those samples this week, do those apply only to the mixed samples in this case?
Oh, yes. Yes, these changes were only for the mixtures.
So in other words, your comments today about differing numbers from the same item number have nothing to do with the estimates calculated by the laboratories for stains from one source.
That's correct.
Okay. That's correct. We'll leave it on that. We'll leave it on that's correct. Cleaning pizza out of your hair. It goes in your mouth. The pizza doesn't go in your hair. The pizza goes in your mouth. A brush. Brushes go in your hair. Pizza goes in your mouth. Now, I'm not sharing my chocolate with you. You obviously don't know how to eat. You're not wasting my kettle corn and my chocolate if you don't know where your mouth is. No. I am absolutely not giving you a snake bite. I'll be sucking on your hair. All right, guys. It's Friday. Let's put our day in today. Let's get to work, do our hours, go home. Maybe I will stop and have a snake bite. Text Josh later and say, all right, Josh, it's time. Let's go. Let's get your drink on. I wonder if I could talk my daughter into trying a snake bite. The answer's no. If it slightly tastes like alcohol, two of my 3 children are just not interested. They want drinks that do not taste like alcohol. I don't know where they came from. They definitely got that from their father. They didn't get it from me. I taste a drink a bartender gives me, and the first thing I want to know is, does this taste like alcohol? I better taste it. You better not short pour me. I know what it's supposed to taste like. All right. Guys, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for coming out with me today. I appreciate it. I shall see you again tomorrow. I hope you guys have a really good day. I hope something really good happens today. Bye, guys.